All right, hello everybody. So today we're going to do my new cherry blossom laser kit together. So here's the kit. Here it is with all the lovely laser cut pieces for you. If you're ever going to buy a laser kit, this is one to do it on because look at all the flowers. They're very pretty, but there's a lot of them. So today what we're actually going to do is this is my finished one, but I have a background already put together, and we're going to do all the appliques for one of the branches. So I don't know if you can tell on here, but starting over here, this branch that comes to here is the same as this branch that goes to here, and they cross each other, but they're the same branch. So because there's so many pieces, and I know it's going to take a lot of time, and people's attention spans are only so long, we're going to do one branch, and then I'm going to show you how to set up for the second branch, and then we're going to actually switch over to fusing, so you know all the whole fusing process. And then all you would want to do is, if you're making this yourself, is just continue on and do a repeat of the first branch on the other side. Okay, let's get into a kit. So when you open up your laser kit, you're of course going to get a pattern, and I've already opened up my pattern. This is the layout guide for the branch itself, and then this end here has a little mini layout guide on this one for all the different individual cherry blossoms that we're going to put together ahead of time, and then all the appliques that you would hand cut should you be hand cutting them yourself. One thing I'm going to tell people, if you bought an early version of this pattern, I'm going to let you know that I realized as I was getting ready to do the kit, and I always find mistakes, of course. It drives me nuts. I hate making mistakes, but I'm a human, it happens. We're making two branches. Everything that I've listed here on how many to cut is for one branch. And I forgot to put the little note there, besides on the brown branch, actual branch itself, cut two. These are all the amount you need for one branch. So when it says 5A cut 4, you cut 4, that does one branch. You actually need to cut another set of 4 to go and do your second branch. And although I do say to repeat, I just want to make a note, and I wanted in my future printings of these, I'm going to change some of this wording. So I thought I either need to say cut 8 of them, or I need to say cut as directed per branch, because essentially this is what you need, this is what you need, this is what you need, this is what you need for one branch. So if you're making one at home, or if you're cutting them yourself, just know that when you get done with the cutting and you're like, oh, thank God I'm finished cutting everything, and you go to put it together, you're going to be like, darn you, Dana, I have to do that all over again? No, buy a laser kit, then you don't have to. That's my answer. But I'll fix it too. But I'm letting people know now as well. Okay, so you have your pattern, and then of course this is the pattern cover. This is the instructions. So this is going to tell you everything in the beginning steps here about prepping and sewing your background. So I've got my background already together. I do want to just make a note that my step one on every single one of my patterns is to pre-wash all fabrics to block and remove excess dye. If you buy a laser kit, all of your laser cut applique materials are already pre-washed. So like this one here that has the branches on it, this fabric's been pre-washed. Why do I do that? Because batiks are notorious for bleed, and darker ones like this are going to likely bleed. The bleed might come out in this dark brown. It might not look dark brown. It might come out a really orangey color, or it might be a really yellow. It's kind of weird how sometimes they have this odd color that you're like, what the heck? The black that I use a lot as an inner border in things, when it bleeds a very ugly rust color. And if you don't pre-wash your borders and your background, so your kit, here you go. All these are already pre-washed. You don't have to worry about it. I put them through an actual wash cycle with detergent, iron them all dry, and we laser cut them. But this stuff here, your backgrounds, your binding, this isn't a border, it's part of your background, but on some, maybe an inner border, those have not been pre-washed. So these pieces, you don't necessarily have to use detergent and throw them in a wash. I know sometimes some of the pieces are pretty small. Rinse them in the sink. right away you're going to see, make sure it's warm to hot water, because colder water won't always show the bleed, but when you get it warm or especially hot, that's when you really start to notice bleed. And when you go to steam, you're going to be using some very high heat with liquid, and that will cause bleed. So I tell people all the time, people ignore me a lot, and then you run into something where you're finished with your design, you go to steam it, you didn't pre-wash your inner border or your border or something, and what happens? All of a sudden, this color seeps through your applique, and you're like, what is this? What is this? It's bleed. Please, please take the few minutes to take your background fabrics, take your binding, take your border fabrics, stick them in your sink, rinse them out, or throw them in with your laundry is fine too. But they're, you know, smaller pieces, you might want to just rinse in the sink. You're going to see right away in the hot water whether or not it's going to bleed, and then just throw it in the dryer. The dryer also pre-shrinks everything and it blocks your fabric. So blocking is when you have all your fabrics, you know, they're wrapped up on bolts. They're handled a lot before you get them. They get stretched. The grains stretch. So if you've ever had a fabric that has suddenly kind of done this sort of thing that kind of looks like this, where it's got this little bit of a twist to it, maybe just one block in a quilt after you've washed it the first time has this little twist. That's because when you put it in a dryer cycle, not only does it shrink, in cottons in particular, but it also, the weave that may have been pulled a little at a crookedy angle, like a little twisted over time from getting, you know, from wherever they're printed to getting wrapped on the bolts to going to the store and getting to you, the grains are more than likely going to have been twisted one way or the other. When you put it in the dryer, not only does it pre-shrink it, it also makes those grains straighten back up. And so that's why sometimes when you take something out of the dryer, the bot, you know, it's not lining up. You try to fold it up and it's like, oh no, this is really wonky. And you trim off that wonkiness to get back to a straight grain. So it's a very important step. People don't listen to me all the time. I know it's a pain. I know you get excited. You just want to do your thing. I get it. But I ruined a few projects when I was younger because of bleed and because of twisting. And once it twists back, once you've washed it that first time and that grain straightens out, it will never go back to the way it was before. It will always be twisted. No matter how much ironing you do, it's going to twist. So just do yourself a favor. Pre-wash, pre-rinse, throw them in the dryer. Take care of that step so that you don't end up sad later on. Okay, so I've also got all my laser cut pieces here. This one doesn't have very many colors, which is nice, but there's a ton of pieces, so not nice. But it's beautiful, and you don't have to laser, or you don't have to cut them yourself. I made 2 of these, hand cutting everything myself. So all these little pieces, I hand cut this twice myself in making the pattern. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna label everything. So you might see I've already done that to help save some time, because I knew this one would take a while. So when you go to label everything, right here, let's take a look at this. And I actually forgot to label one of the pieces right there. So when you go to label everything, and this is a 2A, it'll say 1A, everything across the top here, you're cutting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You also have another set of them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Label those all 1A. 2A, here we go. You're gonna have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, on the side here, we have that. So we have a repeat. There's kind of a gap here. That's from one branch and the other branch. Number 3, I've labeled those. We're cutting 4. Number 4, we're cutting 4. Number 9, and by the way, they say 1A, 2A, 3A. You do want to include the A. Everything that's white is an A. So you don't have to, I guess, but just know that you want to put them together in alphabetical order. So when we go to do that arrangement, that's why there's an A, there's B's, C's, D's on some of them. So anyhow, we're going to label everything, and you just compare the shape. When you put your labels on, don't write on the fabric, write on the paper on the back of your steam-a-seam. I like to use a little pencil like this. Why I love them is because they always stay sharp. I just twist it out when I need to get a little sharper point as it gets low, and it keeps a nice crisp line and it's not smudgy. Pencil will smudge though. So, you know, just in general, just be careful with that as far as on lighter fabrics, or if you're getting it on your side of your hand as you're going. I usually start at the top and I work my way down like I would on a piece of paper. And that way I'm not smudging my hand through stuff that I've already done. Okay, so all of our cherry blossoms are labeled. My leaves down here, again, when you're looking at the paper side and you're labeling on the paper side, the shapes will be the same as they are here because they're in reverse. Here's the right side, here's the wrong side. We're writing on the wrong side. So A, you're cutting 3. Remember, we have 2 sets. B, we're cutting 2. 1, 2. C, we've got 4. D, we've got 4. Okay, next. These ones are a little trickier as far as the shapes go. And the hard part is, what I like to do in general in my kits is have everything look just like this. But on these kits, because we have multiples of them, I had to put multiples in the laser cut, so they're kind of not in the same order as they were, which I'm sorry for the maybe frustration some of that might cause in figuring out what's what. But I will also tell you that if you mix up 2B and 1B on your final arrangement, you're probably not going to ever notice, nor will anybody else. So don't get stressed over things like that. They are the same shape. If you're not sure, you can always pop one out and check it. But we have 1B here, 2B here, 7B is down here, 9B is actually in the middle here, 10B is over here, and then these ones, 11C is here, 12D is actually up here, 13C, 14, where's 4? Here we go, 14C, and then 15D. And then again, repeated here. And then these ones, little buds. So I have a set here of little buds that will tell you, this was the very first cut out of my laser machine, and it's sometimes challenging to figure out what a good setting is for round shapes, which fall out much easier than little jaggedy shapes. And in this case, I do not know why, but my machine cut just this little section like stronger than anywhere else. And I'm actually not going to use that section because they're falling out on me, but I'm going to use this top one as we go around, and I'll of course use these ones for the second branch. But if you ever have an applique piece from me and you notice a little tiny piece of Scotch tape on something, I always put it on the paper side. But that is because something was wanting to fall out, and I didn't want it to fall out in your kit and then you can't find this little tiny piece and it's like, I'm missing a piece. So every once in a while you might find, and it's usually on little bitty pieces, that I will put a little piece of Scotch tape. And that's because like all of these stayed, but for some reason 12A wanted to fall out. And so we'll put it back in place, put a little piece of tape on it, just peel that tape off, and it doesn't do any harm. It's on the paper anyhow. So here we go. We're going to trace everything here. 3B we've got right here. We're doing 4, 4B right here, 5B right here, 6B right here, 8B right here, 11A right here, 11B up here, and right here. 12A is here, 12B is here, 12C, 13A, 13B, 14A, 14B, 14, oh, that's it. I was thinking there was a C. 15A, 15B, 15C. Everything's labeled, so we are now ready to start arranging our cherry blossoms. Now, this is when you're going to want to get, so let's go over here. We've done all of the background. I'm not going to go through the background part of it because mine's already done, and that's just basic sewing. If you're having any struggles with, that kind of stuff, I always recommend go to your local quilt shops. They're the experts. They would happily help you. And if something is wrong, let me know, because like I said, I make mistakes, just like I didn't repeat that this is per branch. I should have put that on there, and I usually do. I will say 2025 was quite a stressful year for me, so I'm sorry. I'm just glad that they're finished and now tutorials and getting on my website so they're actually available to people. So that's a win for me. But I hate mistakes, and they frustrate me, and I apologize always for them. So we're going to, on step 9, trace all applique pieces on paper side of fusible web. So that's already been done for us, right? We've already got all of our stuff cut out. So we don't have to do this. Press fusible webbing to wrong side of chosen fabrics, cut out all pieces on drawn lines. We don't need to do that. We've got a laser kit. So we're going to skip ahead to step 10. Using an applique pressing sheet, which is what I have here, we're going to prearrange all cherry blossom flowers and bud styles 1 through 15. Lightly fuse, keep like styles together 1 through 15. This will make it easier when arranging on the background. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go through, here's one And I'm going to do all of my ones for my first branch only, but you could do them for all your branches if you want. I'm going to do all my ones, all my twos, all my threes, all my fours. I'm going to do all of them through 15 so that I have them in order. And if you really want to be super organized, let me see, I have a little sticky pad. You could even take something like a little sticky pad like this, and you could even take and put like, here, maybe for each one, like these are number ones. These are going to be number twos. These are number threes. And that way you can kind of keep track of what's what. So it makes it easier. I find if the more organized you are, the easier it makes it when you go to do your final arrangement. I have, if you will notice, a huge applique pressing sheet here. This one was actually even bigger. I cut it up and I left one piece kind of really big. And because I'm doing so many flowers, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do it on this one, but I'll probably use just most of this. If you have a smaller pressing sheet, you use whatever you have. So I'm going to turn my light table on because wow, you can see that so much better now. And we're going to start with flower 1. And I'm just going to do all the ones first. So I know I'm going to need my little, move this over here. I'm going to need my little pink pieces. I'm going to need my little dark wine colored pieces. I'm not going to need my leaves right now at all, but I am going to need my other petals. So let's start. We're going to do these, as I mentioned, in alphabetical order. So one has 3 parts, or no, 2 parts, sorry, 1A and 1B. So I'm just going to grab my 1A, and when I take these out, I just sort of pop them and pull. Just kind of put some pressure and pull. If you have any little threads, like this one has a few little threads sticking out, just trim those off. And just use your little thread scissors, trim any little threads. If you don't care about them, they don't bother you, don't worry about them. And then I fold my fabric towards the paper and make a little crease. And what often happens, and you can maybe see, is that the paper kind of releases from the fabric and it makes it, see if you can see better this way. It makes, see how the paper is actually come away from the fabric. It makes it easier to pull that paper off. Put that back on. Make sure that hopefully we're focused in the right spot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and arrange my 1A, and then I'm going to grab my 1B. And again, I'm just going to kind of give them a little tug. These ones are really skinny in some spots, so you do want to be a little gentle with them. If something is sticking and it's really not wanting to come out, I'm just going to put that right in place. And then I'm going to move my pressing sheet over. I'm going to do another one right next to it. But if something's not wanting to come out, don't tug so hard if it's like really stuck. That's what, again, grab your little thread scissors and snip that little piece if something is holding in, because the way my machine works is it's little perforations of burn, essentially. It's burning these little tiny little holes. And as it burns those holes, I think every now and then a little thread just kind of happens to get hit in the way that it doesn't quite get cut through all the way. And so if you ever have that happen, instead of yanking on it, if it's not coming out, just take your little thread scissors and snip it out. I'm snipping threads that have held on because that happens too. And if you notice also on your light table, sometimes you'll pull a piece out and the thread, instead of it, you know, sticking out of the applique, and you might see a thread that gets pulled out through the weave. It won't be noticeable once you go to put it on your background if that happens, but it will kind of be noticeable on the light table because the light table is going to kind of shine light right through the applique, and you might be like, oh no, like a thread got yanked out, and it's kind of noticeable right there. But once you are actually putting it on your backgrounds, you're not going to notice that. So don't let that stress you out if you see that happening. So we're just going to finish up with 1. We got one more after this of 1. So this collection actually that I did with Hoffman this last year in 2025, it's called Summer Zen, and it was all kind of Japanese and Asian inspired stuff. I say kind of Japanese, but also Hawaii inspired. I've been to Hawaii 17 times in my life, And the place that my family used to go regularly were from Alaska, and Alaskans like Hawaii. We go there often. So I'm going to go ahead and start on number 2. So I'm just going to bring it down here. I'm going to start number 2. Now 2 just has a 2A and 2B just like the other one. But anyway, so I in 2021 I had a collection with Hoffman, so I should keep my hands where you can see them. And it wasn't Asian inspired at all, but I did do a few designs that were inspired by a trip that I had taken in 2019 to Tokyo with my family. It was my second time to Tokyo, and the first time I went, it was during the fall, and so I got to see the beautiful maple leaves changing, and that was such an amazing I mean, my goodness, gorgeous thing to witness. And then I told my friend who lives there, okay, next time I come, I'm going to come in the spring so I can see the cherry blossoms, because, you know, I got to see the momiji, which is the maple leaves, and now I need to see cherry blossoms. And plus, you know, how famous are Japanese cherry blossoms. So so anyhow, my friends who live in Japan, they visited Alaska in, I think it was the summer of 2018, maybe 2017. And they said, they brought their kids, and I told them, like, it'd be great. Our kids met. They had a really nice time playing together. My daughter, I think, was 7 at the time. And I said, okay, next time we'll come to you. And I found out that same week my cousin was visiting, and he was in the Navy at the time, and it turned out that he was going to be stationed over in Japan near Tokyo for about a year and a half before that was going to be his last deployment, I guess, or whatever they call it, last place he'd be before retirement. And so I told my my daughter, okay, we're going to go to Tokyo. And it took some convincing to get other people in my family to come, but it ended up that my then fiance and his son, my stepson, just also came with us. I convinced my parents to come with us. And I had some other friends that were going to come, and unfortunately they had to cancel. But we had a big group of us that were going, and we just happened to hit right at like the perfect time for cherry blossoms. We got there right as they were just starting to open. And so I'm moving on to number 3 now. So 3 also just has an A and B. And the B, though, for the cherry blossoms isn't this dark stem. It's going to be in this lighter color here. So let me see, which end was I going to use? I'm going to use this side. So these ones on this side are kind of falling out everywhere. I've put some tape on them to hold them in place, but I'm going to use that secondary because I know if I start yanking on them in the video, they're going to just fall all over the place. I'm going to lose them. So I'm going to go with the ones that are kind of holding in a little better. Anyways, so yeah, we all ended up going to Japan, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. The cherry blossoms were awesome. My daughter still today loves cherry blossoms, and I know that is because of that trip. She was 8. It was her first international trip, and we had such a good time. Actually, my kids are now, no, they're not juniors. They're sophomores in high school. And I've talked to them a few times about, like, what should we do as a trip senior year? We should do something, you know, special for that last year of high school, and before they start flying the coop and stuff. And they both have said they would love to go back to Japan. And so maybe in a couple years we might get back over there, which would be wonderful. I will say, though, I told my daughter, well, maybe this time we need to go a little later in the spring so we can see the wisteria. I wouldn't go back during cherry blossom season not because it wasn't beautiful and amazing and worth going, but because it was so crowded compared to the first time I went during the fall. And so the places that we visited, I mean, we're talking like 20 times more people. Areas that we had gone to the first time in the city that were pretty, not empty, but like, you know, you could walk around and not be like bumping into people everywhere. This time we went during the cherry blossom season. I mean, there were just people everywhere, to where some places it was almost like, well, it's hard to even see the sites or do a little touristy shopping and stuff because of just how many people were there. But definitely worth going. I think for me, it was like, okay, I've seen it now. I think I can go at a less crazy time and be able to enjoy the city a little bit more. Okay, so 4, and I'm just gonna I kind of just keep doing, I like to, I try to be organized, and I find that it's very helpful when you go to arrange these if you are kind of organized as you do it. So we're gonna start with 4. 4 is just like 3 in that it just has the 2, A and B. So if you haven't been to Japan, highly, highly recommend. I've been lucky enough that I kind of have a tour guide, so I actually even was saying last time that I'm a little spoiled that I haven't had to like learn how to get around on my own, but I will say that the people there are so kind, and just everybody was just so nice to us. And even if they didn't speak English, to where, you know, it was easier to communicate, a lot of people do, and all the signs and stuff did have everything written out with the Japanese characters, but they also had things written out in English lettering. So we did venture off one day. My daughter loves animals, and we went to they have all these cafes that have different types of animals, and she really wanted to go to a hedgehog cafe. And so we had to go like 2 stops up from where we were staying to the area where the hedgehog cafe was. And I had got at the airport this thing, basically it's like a little MiFi. So we had Wi-Fi the whole time. So I was able to, in Google Maps, get myself to the hedgehog cafe. My daughter, my mom, and I went on our own little adventure to the hedgehog cafe. And on the way back, I knew the name of where we needed to go to get back, and we were on the wrong platform. And I just asked somebody next to us I just said the name of the place and just kind of pointed at the platform. And the gentleman was so kind. We were on the wrong platform. So he actually walked us over to the right one and told some people next to us where we were going, so that they would be able to point out, like, this is the train you want to hop on. So it, you know, and getting lost is kind of some of the fun too, you know, going to international places and travel. Okay, so now we're on 5. 5 again is just the 2. And you might be understanding now why I'm only going to put 1 branch together, because we're on 5. We have to go up to 15, and we're already almost 30 minutes into this tutorial. So yeah, it's a little more involved one, but it's so pretty. And it's, I've had people tell me that when they've done these, that they feel like they're kind of like doing puzzles, and kind of a relaxing thing. Now, here's another thing. This little shape, see, that's inside 5. I'm going to turn see this little shape right here. It has little points that go all over the place, like a little sea urchin. I am not going to even bother figuring out where those points go inside number 5. I'm just going to stick it inside number 5 in the middle. I tell people all the time, especially when it comes to flowers, and all my designs are nature inspired. And so nature is not perfect, and nature can be, you know, do you want your flower to look exactly like my flower? I mean, maybe you do, but if it doesn't, does it matter? Does it matter that all my number 5 flowers have their points going in exactly the same place? No. Actually, it's better that they're all different, because no flower is the same, right? At least not exactly the same. So when it comes to like these little center parts for 5 and 6 and even 8. Don't get yourself worked up about the points lining up exactly. I just plop them in the middle. I don't even care. And I can promise you that when you pull this layout out from behind what you're doing, you're going to not know at all that it was in the wrong place. Like I tried to do it, you know, somewhat nice and exact as I'm doing tutorials for people, but I all the time, especially with flowers, I'm always telling folks like, don't stress over those like things like that, those little points. Yes, you can sit there and spend, you know, 30 seconds, a minute trying to figure out exactly which way to put them, but don't you got other things you want to do? Oop, that little 6 is falling out. I'm just gonna grab that one. So 6 again, 6 is one of those ones, that little center. I don't care which way it goes. I'm just gonna stick it in there. We're getting there. Move it over. Put it down. Pop out a number 6. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. And stick it in the middle. Move it over. All right. And this one again has some little threads. Okay. So I have other designs in this collection too. Like I said, they're all kind of Asian inspired. That's, you know, the collection was all Asian inspired fabrics, fabric drawings, but they also are kind of inspired from my time in Hawaii too, because if you've ever been to Hawaii, you know there's a lot of Japanese influence in Hawaii, and not just in things like their food, but also in the landscape and, you know, things like beautiful koi ponds and stuff. I mean, that's the first time I ever saw a koi pond was actually in Hawaii. And it's one of the things that I associate more than anything with Hawaii. And so I did a couple designs in this collection that include koi. The one that I think I am probably most proud of from this entire collection was a koi. It's called Dancing Koi. And so let's see, we're going to move on to 7, which is down here. I'm just going to put this one right there. That one turned out really good. You know, sometimes you do a design and you finish it and it's not exactly what you had in mind, but sometimes you finish one, which that one was nothing like what I initially set out to do. But when I finished it, I was like, oh, it was better than what I was thinking of doing. And so that's always kind of a nice thing, because the ones that you're like, I'm not sure about that. Those ones I tend to end up not liking over time. And then when I run out of the fabrics, I don't make any effort to try to get more. So, so they get discontinued, because like, meh. But whoop. This cherry blossom one, I really like the blossoms themselves in particular, but the fabrics in these, I thought the cherry blossom batiks turned out really nice. Okay, we're getting very close to being finished with at least all the flowers, and then we just have a few left to go, and then we'll start doing the little buds. And those ones, sorry, there are a lot of little details. I always tell people, like, don't curse me when you're doing stuff and it's like, oh my gosh, all these little details. That's what you liked about it, right? Isn't that what you liked about it in the first place? You liked the details. So don't be angry with me. And then when you're finished, if it's a little more work, then, you know, you're more proud of it, right? Just as you're doing this, just remind yourself that at least I didn't have to cut all these. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 8. So I'm actually going to start kind of like a new row on this pressing sheet. So if you don't have like a huge pressing sheet like me, and I'm going to give it a little gap so I know that, you know, this is not the same as that. Obviously, it's going to look different, but it's just kind of nice to gap it. Anyways, if you have a pressing sheet that is like the 13 by 17 size, which is what I kind of started with, you can actually put these on both sides of the pressing sheet. So if you know, you put these on one side, put them on the other, just keep in mind as you, when you go to put heat on them, you know, you're heating both sides there, and you just kind of want to be careful that you don't overheat. Like, don't heat one side and then heat the other. Like, essentially when you put the heat on it, you're putting it on both sides, so you're good to go. So I have done that. I've used both sides of my pressing sheet before. Or if you do these a lot, you might even want to get a second pressing sheet, because I have quite a few, and I'm also kind of, you know, somebody who doesn't finish everything that she starts. I'm sure nobody else out there is like that. But sometimes I'll have an applique that I've put together, and especially when I'm designing, I might not be sure where I want to put it yet, or if I like it, or if I want to change it, and it'll go on a pressing sheet and go off to the side and just kind of hang out there for a while. And sometimes when I have a few that I have had things on them for longer than I want to admit. I have also seen people store things on other places, like on parchment paper. I've put a couple things on parchment paper just to store them. I've not put heat on them on the parchment paper because I've always been a little worried that maybe that waxiness will get on the glue and kind of mess it up. But I have like taken things and actually just set them on parchment paper to kind of just hang out without applying any sort of heat to them. So moving on to 9 now. You got to get this dark one back because that's these two. Come on, 9. Sometimes they just don't want to let go. Okay. I'd like to have music going because I don't like all the silence. I love the silence when I'm working in here by myself, but it's because all the talking I'm doing is happening in my head, and so it's not really silent. There's like a lot going on in my brain, or I'm thinking about some new design or thinking about something else I want to work on, and I kind of like the silence for that. I don't necessarily like the silence when it's on YouTube. Okay, 2 more 9s, and then that's actually, oh no, we have a couple 10s, just a few though, and then we'll get into these little bud ones, which are sort of a little bit of a nightmare. No, they're not. Yeah, they are. Okay, 1 more 9. And then 10, oops, where'd it go? Here it is. And then 10 is the last of the white blossoms. So I have, like, you know, the whole other branch off to the side here, but I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to pop these 2 10s out. They're both 10A. I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest of this away, and I'll do this other branch later because you guys don't want to listen to me talk like that all over again. I mean, if you want to watch me do this all over again, you could, and I'll be talking, but I'm going to repeat the same things that I just said. Okay, so 10 is here, and there's only 2 of them. Oh, forget it. I'll just do it like that. So 10B. And 10A, last white blossom. And 10B. Okay, so next, now we're going to start on 11. So 11 actually has 3 parts. And we're going to be using all these little pink ones now, right? So we're going to go with 11A. And I believe we do 3 sets of these. Yes, we do. 11A, 11B, 11C, which is in here. And so when you're taking these ones out too, just kind of be gentle. I kind of yank on them from multiple angles to get them out because these little skinny little bits, they are, you know, it's a woven fabric and you're cutting essentially all the support away. And what ends up supporting it is glue. So it's only so strong, you know, and we don't want to tear them. But I will say, if you do yank on something and it does tear, you can just very easily just like say this part tears right through the middle. You can trim any little, with your thread scissors, trim any little bits that are kind of raggedy. And then when you go to arrange it on your background, just stick it right up to itself. Just butt it up to the tear part. And when you go to fuse it, the glue essentially kind of heals it and you usually won't even notice. If it's really bad and it like, oops, wait a minute, I grabbed 2. Let me scooch it over to do, that's my second 11A. I grabbed both 11As. I need an 11B. Anyhow, if you really tear something, like say this gets just so torn up and it's all a mess, just cut it off right down there and this one will just have 2 buds. You know, or if one of these little tips gets messed up, again, just cut it off. Or if you can, straighten the point up and say, hey, we're good. That's the other thing, that you can always kind of trim these things. So if something happens to where something gets a little torn, remind yourself, it's a flower. All flowers are different. Align that little one up there. And there's not going to be 3 buds out there that all look exactly like this. So if one of them has one less bud or one less little, you know, little component sticking out on the side there, like the unopened bud, that's totally fine. And again, no one is going to notice that. I can promise you that nobody's ever going to come to you and say, you know, I'm pretty sure that piece was supposed to have a little unopened bud on the side. And if somebody does come to you and says that, you can say, no, it does not. I'm certain I followed Dana's instructions exactly. I think your bud just has one too many. Nobody's going to say it to you in the first place. Except for maybe your friend who watched this video with you, and then they're going to say it just because that's what friends do. They tease. In which case, tease back. Okay, so now 12, and that was A, B, C, and now I'm doing D. So now on this one, I just yanked that out, and you might notice that like when I yanked it, I got this middle part. I'm just gonna kind of gently go in there and pull that out too. There we go. Yeah, this part is so delicate, like right in here. And so if that tears, and mine, I would guess that at some point while we're doing this, one of mine might tear. And if it does, then we'll go through that whole process too. But I've even torn them on purpose in my tutorials just to show people what to do. But again, it's really easy. You just kind of trim it up. If you have to, cut it off. If it got so torn that it just like really messed it up, cut it off. Nobody's going to notice. One time I was making one of my designs. I did like an in-person little demo, and I was doing this one that was an ocean. Oh, did I tear? No, I tore the paper. I was like, oh, did I tear it? Yay, I can show you what to do. I might tear it. I'm close to tearing it. I tore the paper. I didn't tear the actual fabric though. Anyhow, I was doing a tutorial down in Homer, or like not a tutorial, what do you call that? A demo down in Homer for a quilt retreat that they do every year. And I had made up part of the applique stuff ahead of time, and it was all these different, it was my beach combing design, and so it's all these different things like mussels and starfish and stuff like that. Well, one of my mussels, I lost one of the little light blue pieces that goes with like black, and then it has these little light blue things on it. I lost one of them, one of the blue pieces, and I was like, okay, I don't know where it is. I don't care. We're just gonna stick it on with only, 2 instead of 3. I told the ladies about it, and I said, can you find it? And they looked and they looked. I knew exactly which one it was, and they guessed. None of them could find it. None of them could figure out which one it was, and some of them were really looking. And I thought it was kind of funny because I was like, yeah, no, because that's my point. You're never going to notice, and I even told you about it, and you still couldn't find it. So don't worry about things being perfect. I will say I am kind of, a perfectionist person, but I think as I've gotten older, and especially after having my daughter, and it's like when you have a kid around, especially a little kid. I mean, she's 15 now, but when she was little, it was kind of like having to try to have her wear the same, the same sock on each foot all day long, without, us having matching socks, matching pants, matching everything. It was like, after a while, I was just kind of like, is this 13? Is this 13? Oh yeah. Oh, that shape isn't quite exactly matching up there. So that's another thing with my laser things. So the way that I do this, I draw it here. I don't know if you can see. Can you see me? I'm way over here. I draw a thing over here. I draw it again here. Then I do the laser thing, and I do it again there. And so sometimes shapes get a little different as we get from the first drawing to the drawing over there to the drawing over here to the one that I used for my laser. And so I apologize if things aren't, exactly. This one looks like it has a little whoop, and I did not whoop it, unless I'm doing the wrong one, but I don't think so. I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, anyways, my daughter taught me to stop caring about socks matching and stop caring about pants and shirts matching, and to the point where when she was like, by the time she was like 12, it was like, I think she on purpose just would wear socks that didn't match. And I always was like, as long as they're the same style. I had bought some that were like, they came in a whole bunch of different colors, and I was like, I don't know that I can wear like one sock that's long and another sock that's short at the same time, but if they're the same style and one is aqua and one is gray, I can handle that. That's about as far as I go though when it comes to that. But she kind of would do the same thing. It was like, what are you wearing? She had these pants that she got for Christmas a really long time ago from her paternal grandmother, and she got them at Christmas. One leg was candy cane striped. The other leg was green with white polka dots on it. And they were stretchy pants. She loved those pants so much. They were just, perfect at Christmas, but she loved them all year. And so for me, in the middle of July, when she's walking around in these like elf pants, I always would tell her like, why don't we put those away? And for some reason, they lasted for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I thought like, okay, oh my gosh, these pants, there's like, after she wouldn't stop wearing them after Christmas, I thought, oh, it's fine. By next year, they won't fit her. No, they fit her for like 4 years. And finally, when she had a Christmas, she would wear them with like a purple shirt. So it's like, here we have, see, this is another one where I pulled the middle out. Do you see how that came with it? I'm just going to pull that out. Anyhow, it would be like, okay, it's June. And I'd be like, go get something to put on, Eva. And she'd come out wearing those elf pants with a purple shirt on. And I'm like, what are you wearing? Oh my God. Anyhow, it was really funny. And then finally, for one of her Christmas concerts, she actually wore a black dress with those pants, and it looked adorable. And I said, finally, for once in your life, you wore them appropriately. And I think that was the last year she was able to wear them. But it was kind of a joke around the house, because after a while I would hide them from her. Like, I was like, I'm not going to throw them away, but I'm going to put them somewhere in the closet where maybe she won't find them. She would always find them. And so I actually ended up saving. It's like one of those things that now is in like my box of stuff to keep from her, because it was just such a funny thing that she would do it on purpose, you know, to annoy me, because that's how little daughters are, especially mine. Okay, so we're almost done. I'm on, thank God, we're almost done. I should warm up, I should wake up my iron, because my iron goes to sleep on me. I'm gonna wake up. So we're finishing up 14. How long have we been doing this? Almost an hour. What? Oh, this is why we're only doing one side. Okay, 15. 15. We're on 15. Okay. 15 has, of course, 4 pieces to it. So we have 15A, 15B. Sorry if you can hear the motor, not motorcycle, the snow machine in the background. It is January here, and we have been getting a ton of snow the last like 10 days or so. So, you know, you got to go enjoy it. In December, it was like in the negatives this year, and super, super cold. And then January, it actually warmed up a bit, warmed up so much that it rained, which is no fun. I'm always like, once it gets cold, just stay cold until like April, and then just warm up really fast. That makes me happy. But anyhow, it rained, and I didn't go anywhere that day until I was like, I'm not going anywhere till the sand has been spread all over the roads. And but this week it's supposed to be clear again, so we've got all this snow and it's supposed to be clear and staying below freezing, but not to the negative temperatures. So I'm sure there will be a lot of people out on their snow machines enjoying it. I am not a winter, like, outdoorsy person. I'm like, in the winter, I'm very happy to stay inside and work on, you know, like new designs. I also do pottery, which I'm trying to figure out how to maybe put that on my site at some point. And maybe by the time you're watching this, I've figured out how to do that, but it's kind of just something I do for fun. As much as I do enjoy my job and designing and fabric and, you know, all of that, after a summer and fall and, well, spring, summer, fall of constant cutting kits, prepping kits, folding patterns, stuffing patterns, sending out boxes of stuff everywhere, mostly Alaska, but I am usually ready for a break from anything fabric related for at least a month or so. I rarely get that break, but it is nice if I can have it. So I've kind of took off a bit of time around the holidays, and I'm kind of getting these sort of things done, making a few samples, and then being able to work on some new stuff. That's kind of what I do this time of year. So I'm not an outdoors person. I'm more of a hang out inside with a cup of tea, doing some drawing and other stuff. I swear he's doing that right outside my window on purpose. Okay. Maybe, if you could hear it, the snow machine has finally left the driveway. Okay, last piece of all of these. Oh my gosh. Am I going to tear it? Am I going to tear? Nope, I didn't. Okay, so put all those off to the side. Get this last piece down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just lightly fuse everything. And I mean, like, you don't want, this is not fusing in the sense that we're fusing it to the background to permanently stay in place. This is, I'm just cleaning up all my little pieces off the side here. This is where we're just wanting to fuse enough that they stick to one another. Now, these sort of ones, I honestly don't need to put any heat to them, because if I pick up this white, the pink is going to go with it. There's no real reason to put any heat on those. These ones here, I do like to put a little bit of heat, and of course these ones, because there's so many multiple pieces to them. So I'm just going to have my iron at a medium setting, and I'm only going to put heat on them for a couple seconds. It's just dry heat, no steam at this point, right? So we're just going to dry heat, maybe 1, 2, 3, lift, 1, 2, 3. Just going to kind of get the tops of these. I just want to get the tops of these two. I'm going to end up hitting number 8 also, but the reason I'm kind of avoiding this is that when you put the heat to them, it sticks pretty good to your pressing sheet, and they're so delicate. I don't really want to kind of make them stick real strongly onto there. So even over here, I'm just going to put a little bit of heat. I'm just going to put a little bit of heat on these two. These ones as well are going to kind of stay in place. So I'm just putting enough heat on them just to kind of get everything to hold. Okay, so we want to let that cool. Get this out of the way. So while these are cooling off, and I didn't number everything, but how I put these 1, 2, 3. I do have them in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now, I should probably number them all, because eventually I'll run out of some of them and I'll be like, but I just end up counting and I skip them around and figure it out that way. So now what we're going to do on our layout guide, flip this around so we can actually see the cherry blossom layout guide. And let me make sure I'm doing instructions right. I jump ahead and then it's like, what am I doing? Okay, so we lightly fused, we kept the like styles together, make it easier arranging, blah, blah, blah. Step 11, to begin arrangement, lay one side of the piece background over the layout guide, centering the runner vertically and horizontally using the dash marks. So that's these dash marks here. So I'm going to take my background, and this is the edge of your background, So I'm just going to take it, I'm going to lay her down, I'm going to line it up, and I'm just going to put it like that. Now, one thing, I will have things move all the time. Happens to me all the time. I'm arranging something and all of a sudden I realize that my background has shifted and it's like this. I rarely will actually like move things, pick things up and move them unless they're super off. Most of the time I just say, okay, that's where you're going to live. But if you want, clips like these are really nice to kind of hold stuff in place so it doesn't shift a lot from your layout guide. You can also just put a little piece of tape. Just keep in mind that the tape, when you go to lift it off, might tear your paper a little bit. But you can use tape, you can use clips, you can even use blue tape, like painter's tape is a good one. It doesn't always tear as much as something like Scotch tape, or but let's see, I'll get this so that we can see it really well. My thing, turn the light on, and now you might notice with the light on, you can kind of see some of the groupings better. The darker areas are a little hard to see, but the lighter areas you can see through really well. But don't worry, I'll show you some tricks for seeing what goes where, okay? So now we're going to, we've got us lined up. We're going to arrange the branch first. So let me pop a branch out. Here's my branch. Let's pop this branch out of here. Doo-doo. Branch number 2, you can hang out over there. So I'm going to put my branch down first. Now what I like to do with these, now when you're pulling this off, when you pull something really long and skinny like that, sometimes it will stretch your applique a little bit. So what I often will do is kind of find a center area and like maybe a fork in the road like this where I'll arrange it. And so that does not go there. What am I doing? This goes there. This one goes over here and I can see the branch over here. But this one I actually can really see really well. It goes right there. And this branch lays down here. I can kind of see through right there that it goes this way, goes this way, goes this way, down that way. I'm going to lift this up and I can see the top of, oh no, right there. I can see that that section of the branch goes right there. This lays down nice. This is laying down where it should. Whoops. So often when I have these big long type of appliques like this, what I will actually do, this goes way up here, and put this goes up there, and this goes right there. So what I'll actually do is I'll lay it down kind of starting somewhere in the center or somewhere that has sort of like a little V or something, and then go out and lay things down from the middle out when they're long like this. Because if I started over here and I went this way, and if when I'd pulled that paper off, if I'd stretched it a bit, this arc might end up a 1/4 inch off, and then that's gonna make my little flowers off. Or who cares? Put your flowers where they're supposed to be, and the branch will just be coming at it from a little different angle. But a lot of the times with long things like that, sometimes there can be a little stretch when you remove that paper. And by kind of starting in the middle and going out, it helps to kind of make that stretch itself over a longer distance where it's not so noticeable. Okay, so now that we've got our branch in place, we want to arrange flowered leaf groups 1 through 10 in the order shown on the layout guide. Gently peel flower and buds from applique pressing sheet as needed. These groups are in order by flower style, numerical, and leaf style alphabetical. The arrangements will not be in numerical or alphabetical order. Example, group 1 is going to go 9, then leaf B, flower 1, flower 6, etc. So trying to figure out how to do this, because instead of having every single flower its own different flower, which for me doing the laser cutting is an absolute nightmare to have to do all these flowers as individuals. What I did is I did a bunch of different flowers, and then I went ahead and I just made multiples of them and used them. Oh my gosh, all my steam seam little pieces are like stuck to the back of my pressing sheet right now. From the static. That was terrible. Okay, they're all over the place. Little pieces everywhere. Okay, so the way that I ended up deciding to do this is by basically saying, I'm going to take flower 1, flower 6, flower 9, blah, 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 and I make them into a little group and throw a leaf in here and there. And then I took the other flower. So I'm going to unclip this one so we can take a look here. So this is section 1. So 1 is going to go flower 9, leaf B, flower 1, flower 6, flower 13, flower 7, flower 4, leaf D, flower 15, flower 18. Do them in that order because they lay down upon each other to cover up stems and other stuff. So let's start with this one. And if you're not sure, if you don't remember which order, this is the other thing I do. Put your hand, flip it back, check it out. If you can't find where 15 is, put your hand there, flip it back, check it out. Now I have my little clips around here, and I'll probably move the clips around depending on where I need to access. And then I have my flowers off to the side. I'm going to move my, one second here, let me move my iron out of the way. Get all these little pieces out of the way too. I have all these these are all the little paper that I took off of them. I threw them off to the side, and then I threw my pressing sheet on it, and they all like staticked right to the pressing sheet, of course. Okay, so leaves, flowers. We want to start with flower 9. So where's that? That's up here. I peeled it off the pressing sheet. As you can see, the stem is holding on to it. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of look through here. If you're having trouble seeing through this, I have my light table. I believe it's on its highest setting right now. Yeah, it gets dimmer and then it gets, yeah, that's the brightest it goes. So if you're having a lot of trouble seeing through this, one of the other things you can do, close your blinds, turn the lights off above you, and when the only light in your room is coming from your light table, it shows even better through. But a lot of the times I'll just kind of look, I can see that that's where that bud is. And again, I'm kind of looking for a shape that I can find. This flower has like this V at the bottom. I can see that little V right there. I'm going to stick the V there. I'm just going to let that stem just kind of go where it goes. Next is leaf B. So I'm going to grab a leaf B out of this. Oh, now see, there's a spot that's stuck. That did not want to come out. So I'm going to get my scissors and just trim that. There we go. And I don't, if it's stuck, you don't want to yank it. Don't pull on it because you can tear the applique. Get those little thread scissors out. That's what they're for. Okay, B is right here. So again, sometimes can be hard, especially with the branch in the way. So you just kind of whatever, I can see where this top area and the point is. I'm just going to stick it there. If I have to move it later, I can. Next is leaf 1 or flower 1, and then we're going to go to flower 6. So these two right here. So 1, take a 1. Put that in there, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And also, if you're 6, so mine, it's supposed to go like that. If I put it in and it's like this, I could leave it. I'm going to leave it like that. It's backwards. You won't know. I won't know. Nobody's going to know. And now mine looks different than everybody else's because my leaf 6 is upside down. So now 13, 7, 4 are going to be next. So 13. Gonna just peel that up gently. 7. And a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can't see 4 very well, so I'm gonna flip it up. Kind of goes like that. Oh, now I can kind of see where it is. And that's another thing too, is if you kind of flip things up and you see where it is, if you flip it down, you kind of keep your eye on there. Sometimes it's almost like you see the lines, like you're like, oh, that was the line right there. I see it now. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about that. Don't worry about perfect things. You don't have to be, doesn't have to be perfect. So now leaf D, where was D? Right there. And then 15 and 8. So a 15, which is over here. And when I take these ones off too, you can take it off from this side. But as I mentioned, these little, oop, that one's not wanting to stick. Okay. These little areas are so thin that they could tear. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually peel up from the like pink, the little buds. And this one didn't get quite stuck real well, but it's okay because it's stuck enough to get in place, and then I'm going to fuse it later and it'll get really good and stuck in a little bit. And also these little lines too, they're what the heck are they? Little branches, I guess, to the buds. They sometimes they might move a little bit around. If your buds aren't exactly in perfect place, again, like that's okay. Oh, and number 8. So I just need an 8. I have these little pieces all over the place. Okay, got me an 8. And 8 just goes right here. Okay, so now section 1 is finished. So now let's move on to section 2, which is up here. So we're going to start with leaf A and flower 11. So leaf A, let's grab a leaf A. Right here, and 11, that's one of these. Okay, now we want flower 12, then 9, then 3. 12, 9, 3. Let's see if I can remember all of those. 12, which is right over here. I can see the little buds. So I'm just stick that bud, put that bud, 12, 9, and 3. Okay, so the next is, oh, actually 12, 9, 3, 1, 4, 6. So 1, 4, 6. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. And that's how 6 goes. And again, you could have put it on any way really you wanted. Okay, finished. So now section 3 is over here. So we're going to go 9, 10. So we have 9, 10. Grab a 9. Oops. Then a 10. Seven, 8, 2. 7, 8, 2. 7's down here. 8. Oh yeah, that's 8. Okay. Just wanted to double check. And a 2. 7, 8, 2. 15, which goes over here. 5. Let's do those two. I don't like to do to think too far ahead because I have a tendency to forget. I'm very bad at that. Just grabbing this 15 off very gently. My iron beeping at me as usual. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's like, what? There we go. 15. See, I haven't forgot. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where is 5? 5 is right there. This is another thing that I'll do. I'll go like this and be like, oh, okay, it goes like that. Flip it up. Put it right there. 5. And then leaf C. Leaf D. Where is D? Ah, down there. And flower 3, which must go over here. Yep, it does. Okay, so that's group 3 done. So now we're going to go to 4. Where is 4? 4 is down here. It's a little group. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my little clips because I'm down at the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move these a little bit just so that I can see. Just put this one off to the side. So now I can flip up and I can see 4. So 4 is really easy. 13, 14, 4. 13, 14, 4. So let's grab a 13. And then a 14. And a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, it's going this way. Okay, so now what's group 5? That's 6. 5 is in the middle here. So 5 is going to be a little more challenging to see. For me, I like to flip this way. So I'm going to go like this. So 5 is 3, 2, A. Let's see, can we remember 3 things? 3, 2. Depends on how long it takes me to find them, right? Ah, 2 is right there. Leaf A, I did it. Okay, next, 15, 6, 4, 5. I'm not going to remember that. Okay, 15. So let me show you how I'm going to peel a 15 off here. I'm going to stick my nail underneath this little bud tip, lift it up. Underneath that little bud tip, lift it up. Underneath that little bud tip, lift it up. Underneath that base, and peel the whole thing off. And that's how I do it a lot of the times with these little delicate ones. And oh, this is another thing I'm doing. Sometimes I do things and I don't even realize I'm doing them. And then I think like, I should explain this. So these buds, where I lay it like this, they kind of can like, these can start to wrinkle up or they can get in the weird spot. I'll put it down ahead of it and slide it. So it's against the fabric and I'm sliding it and it just sort of keeps them straight and they go right where they're supposed to. So just hold on to that part, put a little head and slide it into place. I don't know where I learned these things. I think it's just because I've done like a million of them. So when people like say, oh, who taught you that? Or it's like, I don't think anybody really taught me that. I just kind of have figured out a few little tricks over time that have helped me to put things in place, you know, easier. And I think the last one was 5. Was it 5? It was, yay! Is this a 5? Yep. Okay, I'm just gonna stick it like that. Okay, so section 5 is done. Now we're gonna do section 6, which is, yep, down here. So again, I'm gonna move my little clips so I can access 6, which is down here, just a little easier. This clip is in the way. I'm gonna get rid of that one for the moment so I can get to 6. Okay, 6 is 9 CB. Let's do that. 9 C and B. So when I went and saw the cherry blossoms in Japan, when they were like really blooming, I mean, just like amazing, you didn't see any of these green leaves yet. It was like just white, beautiful, amazing, gorgeous blossoms everywhere. But we happened to hit it. So now I need a 7, 1. Okay, we just happened to hit it like right, perfect timing. We got there as I was worried that we weren't going to get to see them because they weren't quite open yet. And then within the first few days we were there, it was just like they all just went and opened. And by the time, the morning we were leaving, actually, so I need a 12 and a 5. The morning that we were leaving, we got up and we were walking to go get like some snacks at the 7-Eleven. If you've been to Japan, you know they have 7-Elevens everywhere. They have amazing food and stuff at the 7-Eleven. Like my kids, we all still talk about the 7-Eleven. It's so funny. But anyhow, as we were leaving that morning, so many petals were falling that it looked like the ground was getting covered in snow. It was just so beautiful. But when the flowers were starting to fall, that's when these little green leaves were starting to show. And when I was designing this, I kind of thought like the pinks and the white is really beautiful, but if you do art stuff, you find that like contrasting colors can kind of make things even more beautiful. So when I did this one, I wanted to put those pops of leaves, like we're at the height of the flower blossoms and maybe just past where some of those leaves are starting to open up. And I love the little bright little green color in this. So anyhow, I love the leaves in it. Okay, so now we're on 7. 7's in here, and 7 is going to be, I'm gonna put this over here. 7 is here. Okay, so we're gonna do 1, 2, a 1 and a 2. We're getting close. We're getting very close. I forget where it is. Oh, okay. a 1, a 2, a 9, and then a leaf A, which is kind of hidden in there. It's a little hard to see. It just kind of peeks through that little bright green. Okay. Nine, I'll leave a 2, a 10, the last 10. I'm actually getting to the last of quite a few of them already. A 2, a 10, a 3, a 5, a 6. Oh, it's on a seam there, so sometimes they can be harder to find. So that was my last 3. This is my last 5. Still got one more 6 though. Okay, I think that was it, right? A 3, a 5, 6. Yep. 8 is super simple. 12, C6. So again, I'm going to do my little move where I go kind of before it and slide it back. Oh no, I tore it. Yes, I wanted to tear one. Okay, I tore it. Now, it's not that raggedy. This one, maybe a little bit. This little bit, it might be hard to see. So I'm going to take my thread scissors. Where did I put them? Here they are. I'm just going to kind of trim the raggediness off. Just going to kind of trim that off too. Now I'm going to put this part in place. The bulk of it. 12. My tear is actually going to be behind a flower, so you won't even notice it. But then I'm just going to put this one, I'm just going to touch it to itself. You can't even see it. And it's fixed. It's healed. So if you tear something, don't freak out because it's so easy. These appliques are so easy to like heal themselves. Okay. See? And what the heck was the last one? I can't even remember. 6. My last 6. Okay, now 9. I'm scared if I'm missing some. 5, 8, 7. I think I'm missing a 5. Uh-oh. Okay, so then 9 is going to be C. This is also, by the way, my testing my laser kit before I release my laser kits. So my hope is everything's there. If something's missing, I have a whole nother set I can pull from and I'll fix it for the kits. But I'm worried that I don't have a 5. We'll just get there and we'll figure it out. Okay, C, 14, 11, and an 8. Okay, so C, 14, 11. Okay, do a little move back and slide her into place. This little piece is sticking to that. I'm gonna lift it up and kind of move it. Oh no, it's gonna stay. Nope, it got fused there. It's gonna stay. And an 8. Okay, now 10. The last of my stuff. I should have exactly enough. If I don't, what are we gonna do? We're gonna fix the laser kits so that they have everything, and I'm telling you all right now. So we're gonna start with a 14. There we go. Got our 14. I know I'm missing a 5, so we got to fix that. 14, 2, okay, 2, D, which is a leaf, of course. Okay, D's up here. 13. 14, 15, that is not it. Okay. 13 is just this little 2, and it's on the leaf, so I'm just going to kind of stick it like that. 7, my last 7. And then a 1, my last 1. And then an 11. Last D. Ba-bum. And this one's kind of hidden. It's like goes like this. 8. That would be here. And I should have a 5. I don't have a 5. I have a 15. That's wrong. Okay, so what am I going to do? Well, because this is my tester laser kit anyhow, I'm going to steal a 5 from my other sheet here. I'm going to add another 5 right here in my laser kits so that everybody has the correct number that they need. And then all the kits will be correct. Okay, so I'm going to make a quick 5. Here's my background. Here's my pink. I'm stealing it from the other set, which means I'll be short. So I got to fix that. Peel off the paper from the back. Remember, I don't have to fuse that because that pink goes right in there. Boom. And we will have our 5. And she goes like this. All right. So what did we learn? We learned that I messed up. I have an extra 15 and I'm short of 5. So I will fix that before any of you receive a kit because I haven't sold a single one yet because they're not even available. And that will be corrected. And I'll double check my pattern because I must have done something wonky in here too because it seems like it was right. Again, 2025, not my best year. 2026, the year of corrections. Okay, so now that we've got this branch done, what would we do next? Where did I put my pattern? Where did I put my instructions? It's somewhere around here. They couldn't have gone too far. Did they go far? Where did they go? I like can't find my pattern. So basically, what the other part of the pattern says is repeat on the other side, right? And you got to fuse everything. And then I seriously cannot find my pattern. Okay. I don't know where I put it. There's only so many places to have put this. So when we're going to go do the other side, what I would do is I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to lay this down. This section over here that doesn't have numbers, this is your branch that you already did. So you can kind of line that up. And then see, this will line up. See, I did something right. This lines up, and then you take your little clippy it all on, and you start over and you do your other branch. So, since I'm missing a piece 5 times 2, we're not going to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you now how to fuse it, because that is, even though I don't know where the heck the top of my pattern or my instruction page went, like it is really gone. It's not on my table. Oh, here it is. I found it. It's on the floor. Of course. Okay. So arranged everything. Blah, blah, blah. Fuse everything well with steam. Rotate table runner 180, do the other side, which I just said, repeating steps 11, 12. That's doing the arrangement. Fuse everything well with steam. Quilt as desired, apply your binding. Okay, so we're going to do the fusing, and then I'll talk quickly about quilting, and then I will let you guys go because it's been an hour and a half. Holy cow, this has been like the longest ever. And you guys get to be on the journey with me of finding my mistakes. Okay, so we're going to start. When it comes to fusing, medium heat, please. If you start fusing things and putting too hot of a heat on it, on these little white flowers, you're going to start to see these tiny little dots. It's the fusible web. It's like the webbing is sort of like a bunch of little dots too. You'll notice the dots, especially in light fabrics. If you're seeing that when you go to fuse, that means your iron's too hot. So turn your iron down and then let it cool a minute and then start up again. So my iron's on kind of a medium heat. I also have kind of not a real hot iron, so I can sometimes take it up to quite high heat on its settings, but it's not that hot. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply dry heat, and I'm only pressing and then I'm lifting, and I'm pressing and I'm lifting. Do not iron right now because all these appliques, they are not really stuck to the background. They're just kind of on top of it right now. And a lot of them would easily peel right up. So if I were to iron over that, it's very, very possible that I'm going to catch an edge of a flower. It's going to peel up and stick to my iron, and the applique itself and my iron are going to be messed up. The applique is likely going to be ruined and unusable. The iron is going to need to be clean. Before you go any further, you're going to get glue on everything. So we're just pressing with dry heat right now. Okay, so now we want to actually fuse. Now, if you have a steam iron that you trust, you can steam this. What I do when I use my iron is I hold it about within an inch of the actual surface, blast it with steam for about maybe 6 seconds, and I usually will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Set it down, let it go for about a count of 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to move it because it doesn't have steam. 7, 8, 9, 10. Lifted. Do the next section. Steam it first for about 5 or 6 seconds. Put the heat down for another 8 to 10 seconds. Do that all over every footprint that covers your appliques. Now, if you don't have a steam iron that you trust, which I don't trust mine, it spit iron minerals onto my surface one time on a white area, so it wasn't able to be hidden. And so ever since then, it's not allowed to steam. So I use a spray bottle. I'm going to spray it really good. I get it really good and wet. And then I take my iron and I place it right on that. I don't know if you heard that, but there's a little shh. It's like when you grill a steak. And I like that noise because I know that that means that it's creating steam. And I just leave it there. I want all that water to evaporate and steam out. Lift it up, take a peek. And I'm leaving it there for that 8 to 10 seconds. Then I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to move it to the next footprint. And I don't even care if it overlaps a little bit here and there. Then I'm going to spray the next areas. And I'm going to do this over the entire branch. I want everything to get really good steam. This is the part that really makes these appliques stick. So, and steam is an extremely important component. A lot of people will just use dry heat. I find that if you don't use steam, you very likely will have appliques peel up eventually. I have applique designs that I've done. I started designing in 2007, and I have things that are from 2007 that are still, I mean, they don't get washed. They're wall hangings, table runners that I'm not washing, but they have been moved and they are almost 20 years old. And you can go up to them and you can try to peel the stuff off. They're stuck. They're on there really well. And it's because when Steam of Steam came out, I was, I think I was 19, and my mom went to like a quilt conference type thing or convention, and they introduced it and she learned how to use it, and she thought, oh, I bet Dana would like this, because I wasn't super into sewing at all, quilting, but I was just starting to appreciate batiks, which were just starting to come out in my late teens. And so I'll move this down a little bit so I can get this last bit. And I think my mom was just trying to kind of maybe find a way for me to, you know, get into it, because my family, literally grew up in a fabric store. My family owned a fabric store. My grandparents owned it. And I grew up there like every day, Monday through Saturday, for my entire childhood, with my going to work with my mom and seeing my grandma and my aunts and everything. So so I think, you know, it was kind of like, can we find a way? I was always really into art. I always did art, but I wasn't really into sewing. And the batiks kind of changed that for me, because they look like paintings. They look like watercolors. And I really liked that. And so anyhow, and I was never going to do turned edge applique. I just didn't have the patience for that. There was no way. So when this raw edge applique method came out, and you could do these beautiful, amazing, detailed things, which back then it wasn't this detailed necessarily, but it was, you know, it evolved. It was like, how far can we push this? I learned how to use it, and I've just always used it the way my mom showed me the very first time. And I found that a lot of people don't use it that way. And for a while, Steam-A-Seam didn't even have steam as a necessary component on their instructions. And I actually kind of talked to them about that at one point back in 2013 and said, like, hey, I'm having people complain to me when I say I use Steam-A-Seam because they don't like it. I don't understand why. And I think one of the reasons is maybe that they're not using steam and they're having issues with it coming off. So they did add that back in, thankfully. And it's on all my kits. That's the fusible that I use. So, okay, I've done this whole thing. Once you've steamed it, once it's really good, now you can definitely iron. If you have some little wrinkles, creases, things like that you want to deal with, you can do that. Most of these appliques, there's not a whole lot of layers on them, but if you're concerned about any design with many layers of Steam-A-Seam, you can always flip it over, steam it from the back. Do the same exact thing, steaming from the back. And that way you know that that steam has penetrated all the way to this back layer. That is the layer that your applique is stuck to the background. I mean, that's the most important layer to be stuck, right? The one that actually holds it to the background. But these are very, you know, most of them are just thin. There's a few that are a couple layers, but I'm not too worried about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and only do it from the top on this one. And if you do this and you're worried that, I don't know if I steamed it well enough, do it again. You're not going to hurt it. It's fine to do it again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about care and quilting before we go. When it comes to caring for this, I will always tell people, usually a decorative table runner like this isn't something you're going to put a big pot of spaghetti on, right? That's going to make a mess everywhere and you're going to throw it in the wash all the time. If you do need to wash it, I recommend spot cleaning it, kind of doing it by hand in your sink, and then letting it air dry. You can put it in the washer, but what I always tell people is, when you put it in the dryer, what are you doing? You're taking something wet and you're applying heat to dry it. So what you're doing is you're essentially re-steaming it. And what happens in the dryer is that when these appliques get re-steamed, sometimes they'll come up. So I don't recommend putting it in a dryer ever. That's when you're going to lose things. Now, you can stitch on these, but if you're stitching through Steam-A-Seam, I'm grabbing my sample over here, that's finished. If you're stitching through Steam-A-Seam, and I don't know if you can see it on this. I don't know if it's going to focus. You can see there's sort of maybe little holes where I've stitched. This is on the background even, but I'm using clear thread. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a little fuzzy in my camera. But if you stitch on the appliques, especially lighter colors, everywhere your needle has punctured is going to leave a little black hole. And part of that is because the glue is holding the weave together, right? Excuse me, you're punching through the glue. There's nothing to fill it but clear thread. So if you're going to stitch on your appliques, if you just don't trust Steam-A-Seam at all, or you think, hey, I'm going to wash this, I'm going to throw it in my washer and dryer, I want them to hold, go ahead and use a clear thread. You can definitely stitch through them. They're not going to gum up your needle if you stitch through them after you fuse them. Don't stitch through them prior to fusing, because that's when the glue will gum up your needle. But once it's been fused, like it is now on this, I can stitch through this no problem. It's not going to bother my needle and put a lot of glue on it. Now, What I do though, is I use a clear thread and I just go stitch around the appliques onto the background. I don't stitch on the appliques themselves. So this one here, so dark you probably can't see it, but what I've done is I've done free motion stitching starting here. I go here, around here, around here, around here, around here, around, all around the outside, coming in back in here, coming back around here, all the way around, going to the other side until I get back to my starting place. That's all I do. Do it on both branches. That's it for me for quilting. Now, some people do amazing, gorgeous, beautiful things with quilting, and you certainly can do whatever you want. That's just the way that I do it. And I've seen people do, you know, really fancy stitches and stuff. If that's your thing, go for it. You can do amazing stuff and make it even more beautiful. For me, I have a neck injury, and sitting in a sewing machine for very long really aggravates it. So I kind of try to do the quilting as fast as I can. And so I'm clear thread, don't have to change my thread. Now, the only times that I will stitch on the appliques, I always use a matching color thread, and I will do that if I'm doing a quilt that I know is going to get extra love and more washing than anything else. A wall hanging hardly ever is going to get washed, if ever. And as a matter of fact, if your wall hanging gets dusty, don't wash it. If it's just dust, take a roller it off. That gets your dust off. That gets dog hair. I have dogs. That gets cat hair. Roller it off. Do that. Don't put it in the wash just because of stuff like dust and hair. So I think that's it, kind of my thing for quilting. And if you notice ever any little pieces that like, ooh, this is coming up, if it's because the glue got overheated and you have those little dots, sometimes if you overheat the glue, I call it frying the glue, it doesn't want to stick anymore. But sometimes you just missed a spot, you know, like you're going through with your iron, doot, 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 and oops, that little petal didn't quite get it. And it maybe comes loose a little bit. You can try re-steaming it. Once it's quilted, it's not going to hurt the batting. It's not going to hurt the backing or anything. You can go ahead and try to re-steam it. If it's still lifting, I will tell people, take a little toothpick, put some fabric glue on it, like a clear fabric glue. I put it on the toothpick, and then if I use, like, say this, I would say, here's my little toothpick edge. I would just rub it under the applique a little bit, and then press it down gently and let it dry, and that will hold an applique in place if you have an issue with something lifting for some reason. And then you're just going to bind it, and you're going to enjoy it. And so I think that's everything for today. I hope that you all liked it. I think this is the longest video I've ever done, and we only finished half of it. And at least I discovered number 5. I can't believe that I miscounted those. You know how many times I've counted these? 2025 was a terrible year. Terrible year. So I'm glad I found it, though. That's part of the reason I wanted to do these video tutorials, is I was like, it's going to be terrible if I find like a mistake on every single thing. But then I thought, but at least I found the mistakes. I did the tutorial. If somebody got a pattern and was doing it before I found the mistake, and they watch this, they can go, oh yeah, that's why I was missing number 5. So anyways, laser kits will be available on my website, www.wildfiredesignsalaska.com. I have a new shopping site that you can get to from my main site. But if you want to just go to the shopping site, it's www.shopwildfireak.com. So AK for Alaska, shopwildfireak.com. That takes you there. And these kits are not up there as of today. But they will be up there, I think, probably tomorrow or the next day. Obviously, I got to fix number 5. We got to put number 5 back in. So anyhow, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the cherry blossoms. I'll have a few more tutorials going up soon with my other 2025 Summer Zen designs. And looking forward to doing the koi, dancing koi. Can I give you a sneak peek of that one? I have a couple. Hold on. I'm going to sneak peek. So, if you like koi, this is my dancing koi. I'm hoping to do this tutorial either later today or tomorrow. This one went way longer than I expected, so it might be tomorrow, but they're going to both go up. And this one's quite large. It's a 28 by 31.5 finished size. It's gorgeous. I love this one. I'm very proud of this one. I also have a wisteria design. Where's that one? I put up a Wisteria's coming next. I'll have laser kits on this going up within the next few weeks. I have also, oh, this is the old one. I don't want to show you that. I have a tutorial already up. That's my At the Pond in the new coloration. That was the old coloration. You can't see that one. And the very last one that I think I'll be putting up for Summer Zen is this one here, which is Sandhill Cranes, and it matches the cherry blossoms very nice. So those are all going to be going up in the next week or two, and I hope that you guys will make a kit or two or one of my many, many others. And thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.